Hello, Clarice. Hi, I'm Jerome, resident sexpert at ltasex.info. Welcome to Let's Talk About Sex, the show where we talk about sex. And today, we're talking about sex with James Darling. For those of you who don't know James Darling, he's currently one of the most prolific transgender porn stars in the world. He middle male, if you're wondering. Recently, we sat down and had a Google Hangout together. As I sort of expected, the conversation went off the rails a few times. But isn't that what you guys expect from me? I hope so. I really, really hope so. We got to talk about unicorn gangbangs in a bounty house, his feelings on Azalea Banks using the word faggot, and a whole host of other things. Overall, the interview was very fun and interesting. I can't wait for you guys to check it out. So, here it is. First of all, welcome to Let's Talk About Sex. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good. So today we're going to talk a bit about you and your life and your career in porn, what you want to do after, and a bunch of other things. To start off, just tell the viewers who you are.
So I'm James Darling. I'm a female-to-male transsexual, and I'm a porn performer and a model. I live out here in the Bay Area, and I run a porn company called ftmfucker.com.
All right. And when you're not doing porn, what do you do?
I have two day jobs. I manage a gay sex club in the Castro called Eros. Okay. It's really cool. It's one of the only sex clubs that's specifically welcoming to trans men. And I also deliver pizzas. The porn stereotypes are true.
It's funny. I saw that on Twitter, and I thought you might have been joking, but that's actually really, I think that's cool that you're normal and you still have a normal job. I like that.
Yeah, well, the funny story behind that is my webmaster for my site, her husband owns a pizza place. So there's a couple porn people who work there.
So let's talk a bit about your porn. Now, I know you started porn before you transitioned, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it depends on how you define transition, because I was on hormones, but I hadn't had chest surgery before I did
okay.
But I basically looked and sounded the same as I do now, but I, had breasts still when I started.
Okay. Now, when it comes to your porn, what do you like people to get out of it? I mean, obviously you want them to be turned on, but I know a lot of porn performers want something more, I guess. Do you want anything more from that?
I mean, I think the baseline is, I want people to be turned on, but it would be cool if it also challenged people's ideas of what kind of sex that they personally enjoy and what they're capable of being attracted to. I definitely hope that it opens up some new avenues for people.
Okay. Now, let's talk a bit about the type of porn you make. You make genderqueer porn, which is really cool. Have you done any sort of mainstream porn at all?
I guess depending on how you define mainstream, the only queer independent company that I worked for is this guy, Sammy Mancini, who runs a bunch of transsexual porn, for lack of a better term, she-male, that kind of mainstream transsexual porn. I did one shoot for one of his sites. I'm not really sure where it ended up, but it was a very different kind of experience than the stuff that I make out in the Bay Area.
How so?
I personally enjoyed it, but it's not going to be for everybody because, it's a very specific idea of what a trans woman is, and honestly, a lot of the mainstream transsexual industry has a pretty unrealistic expectations of what trans women's bodies are supposed to do and supposed to look like. Very different kind of world. But I've only done one shoot like that. I'll probably do more, depending on what happens. I really like to work with trans women, but most of the stuff I do is out here in the Bay Area, and they're done by queer people, independent production. The companies I've mostly worked for out here are my webmaster, Courtney Trouble, has a site, Queer Porn TV, and Indie Porn Revolution, and CrashBedSeries.com, as well as T-Wood, which is another trans guy porn company that's run out here in San Francisco.
And what has the experience been like for you in porn? Have you? I assume you've enjoyed it, obviously.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's one of the best things I've ever done. I've had a really positive experience for sure. I think my experience is probably going to be a little different than a lot of other transsexuals in porn because I've largely gotten to have some say and control over the image that is released out in the world of me and getting to kind of define on my own terms like how I'm talked about. But yeah, my experience has been really great. I mean, the way queer porn works is you know, if you get a scene, you choose your scene partner, and then you just decide like what you want to do with that person. You pretty much self-direct like the action, and then the director, you know, videographer shoots around that, and then you have like this authentic queer product of like the ways queer people actually have sex. So it's pretty cool. You know, that's really hot to me, you know, that people are getting off the way that they usually do, and you know, that it's true to themselves, and I think that's really great.
Well, what a novel idea to actually make porn the way people actually have sex, right?
Yeah, like what? That's
what?
crazy.
Oh my god, no, who does that? It's not a thing. So, what have been some of like your favorite experiences working in porn?
Well, I mean, I think the number one thing is, you know, now that I've run my own company, I can kind of do whatever I want, you know, because it's like, you know, I don't have to pay me, and I can do whatever anytime I want to. And the craziest, hands down craziest thing I've ever done was for my birthday. I did a unicorn gangbang in a bouncy castle. You know, I mean, it's just like, how do you top that? You really can't.
I don't know. What is a unicorn gangbang?
No, I'm a fan of the unicorns. But, you know.
Ah, yeah, I see that. What is a unicorn gangbang?
Unicorn gangbang. So basically, my idea, you know, I was gonna have a birthday, and I was just like, what should I do for my birthday? And I was talking to my ex-partner, Arabelle Raphael, about it, and you know, I was just like, yeah, I don't know what to do, you know. And she was like, well, why don't you do, you know, like you should just do whatever you know want, like. And I was like, well, I need more content for my site, like. What's the craziest thing I can think of? And I was, you know, I was inspired by Jiz Lee had a 30th birthday 30-person gangbang on Crash Pad series. And I was just like, oh, what a great idea, you know, like, I hope when I turn 30 that I have 30 people to come fuck me. Like, and I was like, well, why not have a gangbang? Like, you know, like, let's do something. And I, you know, just had this idea that I was like, okay, well, I want to like invite people, but I can't really, you know, like a lot of my friends don't want to show their faces. And then I was walking past this game shop in Berkeley, and there was a unicorn mask hanging in the window. And it was like the creepiest thing I'd ever seen. I was just like, oh my god, like that would be like the perfect thing for people to wear, right? Like I'm gonna get, so I went in there, and it was so expensive that I like looked it up online, and I found them wholesale, and so I got 4 of them. And then around that same time, Groupon was running a special on a bounce house, like a bounce house rental, and I was just like, "Oh, shut up, really?" Well, I got my location. Here we go, and yeah, I just put my friends in some unicorn masks and was like, "Here, for my birthday, all I want is for you to come fuck me in a unicorn mask." You know?
I mean, that's a good gift. It's a gift that keeps on giving, for sure.
It really is. Yeah, hands down, craziest thing I've done, but. You know, I've done other shoots where there's one that's nominated right now for the Feminist Porn Awards that Courtney Trouble shot of me and this person in poppycocks, who was so hot. And we did a scene where we ended up double fucking an 11. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a Enjoy 11. It's like this really hefty metal kind of dildo toy product. And like, yeah, there was a point where they were like laying on their back and had the Enjoy 11 inside them, and then I like straddled on top and just like rode the 11 on top. It was like really and it's really cool, and like poppycocks like just squirts everywhere, and it's just hot. So that was really fun. Yeah, I don't know.
Can you tell me a bit about maybe like who are some of your favorite actors to work with?
Well, I've worked with my really good friend and ex, Arabelle Raphael, a couple times, and she's hands down just a really incredible performer. I've always admired Sid Blackovich, is one of my favorite queer porn performers. I've never gotten a chance to actually work with them, but I think they're really, really awesome. And other people that I work with that I like a lot, I mean, everybody's so odd, it's like hard to pick. You know, I have a only work with babes policy, you know.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it right.
Yeah, I can't think of a scene that I didn't enjoy really.
I mean that's fair. So let's go back to gangbangs a little bit.
Okay.
You know what? I have to say that I never thought that I would ever say that, like, in my entire life.
Gangbang?
No, let's go back to gangbang.
Let's go back. All right.
All right. So I saw this interview with you where you were talking about how you wanted to have like, you wanted to do like the first all-femme gangbang. Are you gonna do that anytime soon?
Maybe the closest I got to that is I had a scene I shot for my site that had Ariel Raphael in it, and then this other femme, Akira Rain, where I go into an abandoned warehouse that I didn't know was their like place of residence, and they were very upset that I came in without permission and like without talking to them, and so they just like ripped me apart and just fucked the shit out of me, and it's really hot, but it's just 2 of them. And I think you have, I don't know what qualifies a gangbang, 3, 4, I don't know, but I don't know, unicorns are pretty feminine in and of itself, so, you know, that's close enough. But,
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Now, what do you enjoy about gangbangs?
Yeah, what I like about it, you know, is just this like mess of like bodies and sweat and cum. It's like a transcendental experience, you know. What was hard for me though in that was like to be in the moment and be like enjoying what was happening to me, but also be a director. So you know, be like, okay, I still have to be like aware of like where the camera is and stuff, but like this is fucking amazing, you know. Also be careful not to like puncture myself with like one of the unicorns had made himself a unicorn outfit with like an acrylic horn. So I was like riding the horn at one point in the bounce castle, like straddling it. I was like, okay, we're gonna be really careful because this could be a hospital visit, and that's a birthday nobody wants. I think what's really great is just I feel like gangbangs in a way can be like one of the queerest experiences that you can have, because it's just like at some point it's just you don't even pay attention to it, you know, or aren't even necessarily like focused on like the part of the body that's touching you, and like it's just kind of genderless in a way, and like yeah, it's just a totally unreal, unearthly experience. It's pretty awesome. I recommend it.
Let's go on a different topic for a second, okay? Now I know I've seen you describe yourself a lot as a bunch of different types of things: transsexual, transgendered, and then I heard you also say one time that just the best thing to say about you is you're a bisexual, transgender person. But I've also heard you refer to yourself as being a faggot. Now I know, you know, in modern times it's cool to be subversive, and I do it. I personally do it myself in private. But what do you find? Well, I guess maybe where do you find the use in that, the strength in it, maybe?
Well, I think, you know, language is constantly evolving and changing, and, you know, one word's going to mean something very different from somebody else. I know that queer people of a different generation than mine have a lot of different feelings about reclaiming language like queer and reclaiming language like faggot. I think for me, the power of that comes, you know, is like taking some of the sting out of it, and, you know, because like I went from getting bashed for being a dyke to now I get street harassed on a pretty consistent basis for being perceived as a faggot, and I am a faggot. You know, I'm very much attracted to other men, whether they're trans or not, and I love having gay sex, and you know, I spend like every week at a gay sex club. You know, like it's just like I love dick and I love men, and I am not afraid of like being perceived as maybe effeminate or gay. And yeah, in this culture, you know, people think, you know, that people like that are disgusting, and I think that's stupid.
I think it's stupid too, for sure.
So it's just like a way for me to take some of the power back. A lot of my faggot pride comes from like, yeah, definitely my sexual identity. It's a political thing, as well as just being proud of who I am. So, you know, it's not going to be for everybody to use that kind of word, and I totally respect that, but for me, it is definitely a way that I feel more empowered.
Okay, I mean, that's completely fair. So let me ask, if you are using that within yourself and finding strength in it, and you know you're not afraid to use it and be subversive, what do you think about other people using it? Like, I know a lot of people in the media are coming down on rapper Azalea Banks for using it towards Perez Hilton. Now, she is a bisexual woman, so shouldn't she also be able to use it?
well, with the Azalea Banks thing, I think that's a whole separate issue. You know, I think that can be a whole other conversation about the ways in which like white gay men co-opt women's, like Black women's bodies and identities. But I think the important thing to keep in mind when you're using language, no matter who you are, is where that word comes from, and like being aware of privileges and like intersecting oppressions and like how that all plays together. You know, for example, I'm probably going to feel uncomfortable if some straight person calls me a faggot, you know, like that's like kind
That's
of
fair.
really not coming from a good place.
Yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of it is also intention. You know, there's some words that I won't use. Like I don't use the T word, for example. That's a pretty controversial thing in the trans community. But honestly, you know, it's like I do have a lot of privilege as a somewhat, you know, masculine identified person, being perceived as a man in this world, that my trans feminine sisters don't necessarily have. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but
Yeah, I got it. So next, let me ask. I also noticed, and you brought this up when you were just answering that question. I noticed that you seem to be pretty aware of racial issues in porn. And then you also just seem to be aware of like racial issues in general. Where does that come from?
Where I grew up around a lot of people of color, and you know, because I'm from the South, and I think a very intrinsic part of, you know, my queer identity also was born out of my politics and feminism, and like I was a pretty radical feminist from a pretty early age, and just, you know, I was super inspired by reading like a lot of like Audre Lorde and Bell Hooks and that kind of thing. And like, you know, I'm aware that I am raised in a culture that you know, systematically oppresses pretty much everyone, and especially people of color, and I have a lot of privilege for being a white person, and I'm, you know, raised to be racist, and so it's like a constant process to unpack that and be aware of the way my privilege affects other people. And it's not something I'm perfect at, and I'm totally down to be like accountable and learning constantly about like how to be a better ally to people of color in my life, and I don't think that needs to stop at porn. And I think it's unacceptable the way in which racism is still like totally like okay in a lot of porn. What is this? The 50s? Like what? Like I thought that shit, you know, it just like blows my mind, you know. But it's also, people are really surprised to learn that there's a lot of conservatism in the adult industry. They're assuming that since people are having sex, that they like have thought, you know, about these things like a little further, and it's just not the case. Like there's still a lot of homophobia, there's still a lot of racism. So ridiculous. But yeah, people are really still set in some really antiquated, like fucked up ideas of like, yeah, it just blows my mind.
Now, with all the messed up and boring, and I mean, just in general, like not good porn in the world for whatever reason, who do you think is doing it right? Like, I know Courtney Trouble is doing it right. I've actually seen a bunch of the porn over there, and I think it was pretty hot. Do you know anybody else who happens to be doing it right?
One of my all-time favorite directors, hands down, is Shine Lewis Houston, who runs Crash Pad. She also has this other project that I think is really incredible called Heavenly Spire, and it's all masculine, like people identities, like trans guys, cis guys. Even there's a couple like butch and genderqueer people on there as well, and it's like through the lens of a queer woman, and it's just so beautifully shot. It's some of like the best stuff I've seen. Also, there's this guy, Travis Matthews, who shot this film, I Want Your Love, and I think that is just hands down some of the best gay porn I've ever seen. It's just beautiful. Those are probably some of my favorite directors off the top of my head.
Is I Want Your Love out yet?
Yeah, well, I think it's in film festivals. I don't know if it's available online. I just saw one of the shorts from it at this local festival in Oakland called Briefs, which is like a short erotic films competition. And I'd actually not seen the whole film yet, but from just the short, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I know. I've actually that one's been a long time in the making, and I saw the short when it came out a while ago, and they just recently announced that they're coming out with the full-length movie on thesword.com. So I was kind of scared that I missed it. Speaking of Travis Matthews, did you happen to see another movie that or another film that's in that same vein called Hump Day?
Hump Day?
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I haven't actually seen it though.
You should see that one. It's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah. Now let's talk a bit about your style of porn making, right? What do you consider yourself of having a style?
Um, I mean, I'm still pretty new to learning how to do video and stuff. Like I only started shooting for my site this past April, so I guess a year almost.
Mhm.
And released my site in July of this past summer, and yeah, it's just been a learning process, So I got a camera and I started shooting some of my friends because I was like, I feel like there's this big gaping hole that needs to be filled, so to speak, with do trans guy porn. And I was like, I can't believe this isn't on the internet, like besides the stuff that that's on DVD that like Buck's doing and T-Wood's doing. And I was just like, you know what? Let's do it, let's just figure it out. If I miserably fail, at least I tried. Yeah, because like the stuff I want to see is like, I want to see really sleazy, like dirty shit. I want to see stuff going into holes. I want to see jizz. I want to see like really hardcore sex. And that's just something that I didn't necessarily see happening with a lot of trans guy porn. And I was like, well, let's just fucking do it, like why not? And yeah, I've been really lucky. I have a lot of friends and community out here in the Bay Area who can give me pointers and like advice on this kind of stuff. When I first released, my site, I hadn't edited anything before, so like I took a community college course like in video editing just to try and like learn some stuff, and it's just been a constant learning process. And so I feel like my style is still evolving, but yeah, I mean I'm definitely a fan of the hardcore and err on the side of like dirtier content, and I like really creative stuff. It's like, well, I have a site and I can shoot whatever I want, so let's do some really memorable shit.
As like I think you kind of you would probably agree with me on this when you say that like most porn in general is just not that great in terms of like being boring and not explicit enough, I guess, not real enough. Why do you think that is? Why isn't it dirtier? Why isn't it raunchier? Why isn't it more real?
Well, I think like the way most porn works is you're trying to appeal to as many people as possible. So yeah, and also you're limited by credit card processing and like DVD distributor like rules. So there's some things that are banned, like you can't show blood, you can't you can't really show fisting in a lot of DVDs. Although Courtney Trouble doesn't, like decides like fuck it, I'm gonna leave it in because I think this is really representative of actual queer sex and I don't want to leave it out, so she definitely takes some big risks with that. Yeah, I think for a lot of porn you don't want to take those risks, and you want to be able to sell your product to as many people, so it can be a little boring sometimes or like not necessarily my taste, for example. But yeah, what
no, boring was the right word.
I definitely am trying to make my site have a lot of variety, and like I know part of that is going to be I need to have more vanilla stuff, like I need to not have all unicorns and people in onesies and rape scenes or whatever. So like I should have like some more like normal stuff, whatever normal is.
Well, I mean, we've already got all the normal stuff. You should be going out and I don't know, having sex with somebody dressed as a cow, I guess. I don't know.
I actually. You mentioned that, and in the Briefs festival, I saw this one film. I can't remember who the director was, of somebody having sex in a chicken suit. And it's just like with like an ear of corn as the dick, and I was just like, it was like, I thought I'd seen it all, and I'm wrong. Like I'm so wrong.
But aren't you glad you haven't seen it all, really, though?
Yeah, no, I want to constantly be challenged and shocked and amazed, like I don't want that to end.
Absolutely. I absolutely need more of that weird stuff all around me. So, can we talk a bit about what you're doing in the future?
Sure. I mean, I hope that my site continues to be really successful. Right now it's doing great, and I hope that it just continues to grow. And I'd love to start releasing some DVD lines, although in this day and age, DVDs just don't sell the same way that like internet stuff does. But yeah, I'd love to create like more porn and more images of trans guys out there. That's kind of like my focus right now. I think later on, as my video skills improve, like I'd like to start directing other kinds of films that aren't necessarily porn, but maybe erotic in nature. So I have a lot of ideas. You know, I have a pretty twisted mind, so I want to utilize that as much as possible.
Thank goodness somebody needs to. So, what would be your ideal, like if you could think of the wackiest porn, what porn would that be that you would want to do? I mean, you've already had sex with unicorns in a bouncy house, so you can't really go anywhere but up, I suppose.
But I don't know. Maybe a Broadway musical, squirt fountain, crazy fireworks and smoke machines and glitter everywhere. I don't know. I would like to see some more musical porn. One of my favorite porns I ever saw was there's an Alice in Wonderland porn that's also a musical, and the acting and the singing and everything is actually really great, and it's from the 70s. I think you can find it online sometimes. It's hands down one of the best porns I've ever seen. It blew my mind. I'd love to see more of that. You know, like I want to see not only porn, but people also having other like talents, like, you know, circus arts or like, yeah, like dancing around or, you know, that kind of thing. I think they're, you know, maybe that'll be the next porn trend, is circus porn. I have a lot of my performers on my site are actually circus performers, so maybe there should be some crossover there that's an untapped thing. I don't know.
Maybe we should have like a Cirque du Dick. That'd be great.
That would be amazing.
All right. So, what's your favorite sex toy?
My favorite sex toy? Right now, let's see. I mean, the Enjoy 11 is like the Cadillac of sex toys, in my opinion. I don't have one right now because they're really expensive, but my most utilized stuff is my Vixen dildos. They're really nice because they're silicone, hyperallergenic, easy to clean, and they're kind of soft but firm on the inside. So it's like, if you like penetrative sex, it often means you can take a little bit more than you usually can because there's a little more give to it. Mm-hmm. There's a nice weight to them. Like they're definitely hands down my favorite cocks that I have. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about it for us today. Thank you so much for stopping by and coming to talk to us.
Totally.
Or me.
Yeah, this has been great.
All right. So can you tell everybody where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, totally. So you can find my website is www.ftmfucker, fucker.com, and you can find me on Twitter and Tumblr as James Darling XXX. I'm also on Facebook as James Darling. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me and see more of my crazy porn.
All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And that's about it for today. Thank you so much for watching or listening. I really hope you guys enjoyed the interview. If you did, make sure to share it around. If you want me to do more things like this, let me know. Jerome at ltasex.info. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down there if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio version, go ahead and click subscribe in iTunes. You can find me on Twitter at NotJeromeStewart. You can find the Let's Talk About Sex Facebook fan page at facebook.com/ltasexinfo. For more sexy content like this, make sure to check out the blogs at ltasex.info and ltasex.com. I've just posted a whole bunch of new stuff up there that I think you guys will enjoy. Once again, thank you for watching. I'm still Jerome. This is still Let's Talk About Sex, and I'll see you next time. Keep it sexy.
Wonderful.